and talk about the festival. So the 2023 Folklife Festival is brought to you by the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage in partnership with the National Park Service. Good? Okay. Sorry. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. I wanted to start by thanking our sponsors for the Folklife Festival, which are the Lilly Foundation's Religion and Cultural Institution Initiatives, the National Museum of the American Latino, and the Asian Pacific American Center Initiatives Pool. We have two great programs this year as a part of the Folklife Festival. The first one is Ozarks, the Faces and Facets of the Region, and also Creative Encounters, Living Religions in the United States. Let's see, have to go back to my notes. This is a good one. With a commitment to accessibility and to inclusion, we offer ASL, audio description, and real-time captioning. If you need accessible seating or an ASL listening assistive device, please look for either the venue manager or a Folklife volunteer that has a button that says, Ask Me. So, for the most up-to-date information on the Folklife Festival, given stuff like this, when we have weather like this and things change, the best place to go is to go to the website festival.si.edu. The festival will be running every day from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. with special events at 6 p.m. And you can find out about those special events through the website at, again, festival.si.edu. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to play a sizzle reel and take a look at that. And then as our group comes out, I will go ahead and introduce them.
We don't travel to escape life. We travel so life doesn't escape us. And it's long past time. We got back out there. So where to? Dulles International Airport. Let your imagination soar. Book now at flydulles.com/nonstop.
This is Ralph Rensler, director of the Smithsonian Bicentennial Folklife Festival. If you enjoyed the festival, you'll be interested in this invitation.
Ladies and gentlemen, an opportunity like this cannot be taken for granted.
This evening, we are going to be beating our hearts out for you all, so I want to see people enjoying themselves. So get up and feel the music and do something about it, okay?
This event is a right of cultural democracy.
We have many, many partners, you included. I encourage you to stand alongside with us as we travel this journey year after year.
That was great. So I have the privilege of introducing the first program that's happening today. And they're coming all the way from Waimea, South Kohala, on Hawaii Island, and it is Halau Nā Kīpuʻupuʻu, led by Kumu Micah Kamohoalii. Originally, they were going to do some hula dances this afternoon. However, with the air quality, we're shifting, and we're all nimble here. So what we're going to do is they're going to do a demonstration on the traditional form called Kapa. Kapa is made from the wauke plant, which is the paper mulberry plant. It's also known as that. So I would like to introduce Hālau Nā Kīpuʻupuʻu. Mahalo. Let's get our hands together for them.
Testing. Aloha, everyone. I'm Kumu Micah Kamohoalii, and we're very happy to be here. We were planning to dance earlier, but things had shifted. So this demonstration was originally going to be that side, but we said we wanted the opportunity to do it on the big stage. So there's a few more of us that's coming in now with all of the kapa from the shifting creative encounters. But we are from Hawaii Island, and so that's the biggest of the Hawaiian islands out in the Pacific. And it's the one with the volcano on it. I tell people that because most people, when I tell them I'm from Hawaii Island, they say, I've been to Waikiki. That's not on my island, that's on Oahu. So the biggest populated island is Oahu with Waikiki. I'm the biggest island with the biggest landmass. And the ones with the different colored sand beaches, the highest mountain called Mauna Kea, and the one with the erupting volcano that's still going for thousands of years now. And I'm from the north side of the island where it's cold and funny when I tell people that there's snow on my island, they think, I thought you're from Hawaii. Yeah, we have snow over there. And I'm from a little town called Waimea. And it's, our families are ranchers, we have cattle, our families are farmers, and our family are lei makers, so that's all the beautiful garlands you get when you come to Hawaii. We're known for all of the delicate, small, intricate flowers that we make and we give when people come. So this exhibit that we're doing now is talking about bark cloth. And so this is the original fabrics of my people. The native people there, the Hawaiian people. And so before time, before we had this cloth, I think we used to make clothes out of leaves, dried leaves and other fabrics that we could kind of find or fibrous things, so rope kinds of plants. And eventually there's this story, let me tell you this story. But there's a story of this man named Ma'ikoha, and him and his daughters, Lauhuki and La'ahana, his daughters were, so Ma'ikoha was a little hairy, so he was warm all the time. And so his daughters tend to be cold. When the weather came and the cold winds and rains came into the valley, they were cold. And so he would see them often get sick. And so he prayed to his gods, he prayed to his ancestors, and he told them, help me create something to clothe my daughters so that they would stay warm. And of course, this is the shortened version, yeah, because it would take us 3 days to get through the whole story. So, and so what happens is, he tells his daughters, when I die, bury me by the stream. Bury my body by the stream, and from my grave, a plant will grow. And you will make cloth out of it. And so that's exactly what happens. He dies and he's buried by the stream. And eventually, the first plant starts to grow out of the grave, and it's this one here. This is the dried piece. Agriculture, it's a dried piece. Okay. I brought it on the plane. This way. And so tall, it grows straight and tall, and all of the branches come off this way. And so it grew maybe about 12 feet. And then they cut it down, and with the spiritual help of their father, he's teaching them to clean the outside of the bark using different things. So I packed it in here. This is a opihi. So at home, this is a delicacy for us to eat. It grows on the rocks, underneath, deep in the ocean on rocks, and we'll dive into the ocean and scrape them off the rock, and there's a limplet inside that we'll eat. It's kind of like abalone. And so the shells we use to scrape the bark. So you cut down the tree, and then you're using this to scrape the outer layers of this plant off, the wauke. So you're scraping the outer layers. So this is what the girls figure out how to do. And then eventually, they created a niho'oki. So this is a piece of wood that has a shark's tooth in it. So we didn't have irons in our country, so we had to go hunt things that had sharp teeth. That was the big shark in the ocean. So this is a nihomano that's on here. And then you score down this bark all the way down to the bottom, and then you start to peel it. So like this here. So you start to peel it right off of the bark. And you eventually get to, Auntie Trish, show your piece. Auntie Lay, or Mom. Unwrap your piece. Mom, unwrap. Unwrap that piece in your hand. Yes. Unravel it, please. I'm using the wrong language. Unravel. Okay, so eventually you'll get to this. So this is that bark that's cleaned, and then it's scored with all these things that I have in here, the niho'oki. The niho'oki, it's scored, and then it's pulled right off of the stalk. Then we take this stalk and we'll soak it for a few weeks, sometimes a few days, sometimes a day, and then we transfer it onto the kua. Somebody raise your kua up. You're getting full fabric making class 101. That's a kua. This is a kua here. So it means back. Yeah, in English it's called anvil. I don't know what that is, but I only know Hawaiian words, so kua. That's apparently it's an anvil in English. And the beater, show us your beater. Your wooden beater. This is called a ie kuku. Okay? So the daughters figure this out in the story. They figure out through the guidance of their father that they have to do all these things. They transfer their bark, the wauke, onto this kua. Put it on the kua, gang. And then they start to beat. Show us how it's beating. Okay, so the objective of this is they will start in the middle of this piece, and they're going to shift the bark to the left, then they'll go back to the middle, and they'll shift the bark to the right. And they'll keep moving this piece up and down. There's some water involved, which we forgot, but it's okay. You'll be fine. And you're gonna shift to the left and to the right, and you're gonna keep making this piece bigger and bigger, so it will double in size. I feel like George Foreman, and I'm giving you a demonstration with a recipe. Set it and forget it, but no. So this can take days to weeks to even months. It depends on what it is that you are creating. Whether you're creating something really big in size, or you're creating smaller pieces that will become smaller things. So the beating process happens over and over again. And I tell people to make it fine so that the fabric doesn't turn into like cardboard. You want the fabric to be soft like cotton or something like silk. Then you'll have to beat it more and more, meaning you would have to start to fold some of your ends in and beat it out, and fold it in and beat it out. And so if you look at the grains of a tree, they kind of, in the bark, they kind of go up like this. And so essentially what we're doing is we're breaking up all those big veins that are in the bark, in the stalk. And we're kind of ripping them all apart, and then we're putting them back together, but we're laying them all next to each other. So it's kind of breaking the fibers, but bringing them back so that it's not very clumpy, and we're organizing them. And so it starts to make it soft and pliable. Eventually, it will come soft like cotton. Show us that piece that's in front of you. So this is an example of it. Open. This is a good example of it. Here, you can give me. You can give me, Mom. This is one piece that was beaten, pounded out to make this size. This is the part you go, wow. Everybody together, ready, go. Wow. Oh. Okay, so this is one stalk that's like that, and it's pounded to make it this wide. So now if you were making a skirt, you would need a few more stalks, and you would add them on right in the middle. So as they're beating, they would put together maybe 3-4 of the stalks together of the bark, and they would beat it to get it about this wide, so it would come all the way out to here. So, and I think our assistants in the back is going to bring out some completed skirts. So different from Polynesia, or in Polynesia, this is the common fabric. They call it different names. We call it wauke, other places say aute, some say natu. We call it kapa, other places call it tapa, same thing. We can use a T in our language as well and call it Tapa. But this was the source of fabric from this story. So eventually these girls figure out how to make this. One of the sisters learned how to decorate it. So they go and they harvest berries and they harvest other barks that create different colors naturally. And then they start to dye them and create patterns with stamps on top of them that tell different stories. So in Polynesia, most of our cousins in the Pacific have used this fabric. They create it, they pound it just like this, and create their own fabric. Different in Hawaii is that we have something called a kaha, or a watermark that's applied to the wauke. So if you see this, Antile, or Junini, walk up there and show them. Go up to the front over there. So if she holds it up, you can kind of see a pounding, I don't know if you can see it. It depends on if you're sitting behind the light or not. But you can see a watermark that's pressed into the fabric. Hold up your beaters, Antile, that have the watermark on it. Turn, there, that one. You don't have, Mom, those are all lines. Auntie, you have on yours, hold up yours. There. So you see the pattern that's in there. So in Polynesia, we have, most of our beaters have series of lines. Mom, show yours with the lines. So the lines are used to break up all the fibers, yeah? The lines are used to spread them left and right and then bring them back together. When we're finished pounding it and it gets to the piece that we want or the size we want and the look that we want, then we'll add on these kaha, these watermarks that are on there. And each family, interesting, had their own. So the one that she's holding up here, the one that she's holding up here is, represents netting. So if you were from the families that came from the ocean, you were the fishing families, then you would have pounded something like this into your clothing. So this would help you to identify your pieces, and hopefully you never lost your pieces around the place. You didn't leave, your garments around, but this would help you identify it. By lifting it up, you could see the patterns that were pounded into each one of these pieces. She's going around showing you all. So the design that's on, Auntie Arlene, hold up yours. This is my family's design, and my family comes from the shark people. So this is a pattern of shark teeth. Alexi, Auntie. These are rows of shark teeth that are put on here. So I would be able to identify my family's kapa because this pattern would be right in the fabric, yeah? Imagine if you had a t-shirt and you knew that that was exactly your t-shirt because it had your marking in the fabric itself. So that was something that was specific to Hawaii and Hawaiian kapa, was that we marked them. So our kings and queens had marking on their fabric. And there's an interesting story about this, Auntie. There's an interesting story about this watermarks was that, it's a long story, but the shortened version of the story is that some of the king's pieces were missing, meaning his loincloth was missing, maybe a shoulder covering that he had was missing. And so they went through all the villages looking for his kapa pieces. And they were able to find them. They found the thief that stole them because they went through and they lifted the fabrics up to look for all the watermarks. And they eventually found the watermarks that belonged to the king. Sad for that family, they didn't make it to the next generation. But they were able to reclaim the king and queen's clothing because of that watermark that's on there. Colors also play a big factor into our clothing. Families were given colors based off of maybe their guardians or maybe they're part of the island. For instance, if you belong to maybe the lightning or thunder clans, your colors were black. And so all of your family wore those types of colors. And so you couldn't just decide, I'm going to wear purple or blue today to the store. You had to wear the colors of your family. You couldn't just decide to wear a red piece of kapa and go out fishing. You had to wear what was identified that was your clan or your family's color. And so reds belong to the kings and queens, yellows belong to the kings and queens. If you belong to the Pele family, which was the fire clans, that's the lava people and the volcanic peoples, you wore reds and maybe some grays. If you belonged to certain flower clans, then you wore certain shades of pinks. If you belonged to the clans of the ocean, maybe you wore grays and maybe you wore blue. Yeah, so depending on what your task was, who your family were, you were given certain colors. And so same with the watermark. It was very identifiable. You could see when you approached Hawaii back in the olden days that these families did this, these families did that, by their colors and the markings on their clothing. Yeah. Today, clothing is very different. You go to Ross, or you go to, what did we see the other day, Marshall's, you go to wherever they have clothes and you just buy what tickles your fancy. Yeah, in old Hawaii, you didn't have a choice. If you didn't want to be in the purple clan, then you better marry out to the red clan. If you didn't want to wear yellow today, then you better marry somebody from the Thunder clan that wore black and take their family colors. Yeah, so it wasn't as easy where you had freedom to just go to the store and pick what you wanted to wear. Yeah, back then you had to wear the markings of your clan and you had to wear the colors. We did have a time of the year that was called makahiki. And so it's 4 months out of the year that things were Noah, they call it. They were a little bit free of restrictions. So you could that was your only chance to wear the best dress you had. It's the only chance you could go and wear maybe some striped piece of kapa in town and parade around like a little turkey. Yeah, just to try and get somebody from another clan, so that the rest of the year you can wear black with them. Okay, I want to bring out some of these pieces. Can you dress these mannequins? As they do this, we're gonna teach them some bidi auntie. We're gonna do a little pounding. So there's more to kapa than meets the eye. There's more to this. Oh, by the way, I'm a fashion designer. So this is actually, okay, this is my family's tradition. So this belongs to Hawaii. Every family had to do this, unless, if not, they're running around naked around town. And that's not too bad either sometimes, but every family had to pound their own clothing. So the women would come, all of our grandmothers would get together, and they would pound the clothing for the family. The blankets, they would pound the loincloths, the pa'u, so the malo, the pa'u, the skirts, the things that they needed every day. Yeah, they made all the fabric. And so my family did this. On my father's side, well, every part of my family did this. But my father's side continued to do it in the 1900s. And so I learned it from my family. And eventually, I decided that I would take the same patterns that's put onto this kapa pieces, the bark cloth, and transfer it onto modern textiles and modern fabric. Yeah, so I became a fashion designer in that sense, because I started to take my own old family's designs and transfer it onto modern fabrics, and made it all the way to New York Fashion Week, and over to London, to Milan, Italy, and London Fashion Week, and we were able to present and pound kapa on their stages as well. We had to give this whole talk because they didn't know what we were doing either. So interesting though, you see these anvils. Can you ladies flip over your anvil, your kua? Flip your kua over, please. So underneath the kua, turn it, Auntie Arlene, turn it this way too so they can see it. Turn this way so they can see the, hold on, let me help her. This way, there. You see this little like gutter almost that's there. Yeah, you can see that it's like an A. See how it's cut? If I turn it this way, you can see there's like an A shape there. This is for sound. Okay, put it down and we're gonna beat. This is for sound. So if you had all these women, say we're all in a village here, and the next village is maybe the Creative Encounters down there. And so all the women sitting here, they're pounding fabric for their own kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, whatever it may be. They're creating all the clothing for them to wear. So they're pounding. We're pounding. Now say somebody like the king of the island. We call it ali'i. Ali'i. Everybody say ali'i. Ali'i. So the ali'i comes in, which means the king or the queen or the royal families. The ali'is come. So we feel like maybe we should inform the village that's there where Creative Encounters is. Maybe we should let them know, because when the ali'i comes into town, there's a certain protocol that has to be done. You have to now clean up, you have to prepare the food, you have to start to move things, get things ready. If the queen of Sheba or whoever, if she comes to visit your family, then you would, of course, tell everybody, get up and get ready. The queen is going to come in the house. Hide all the things, shove it in the closet, you know, whatever it is. That's what happens when my grandmother used to come. Hurry up, grandma's coming, put it all away. So that's exactly what we want to tell the village that's over there. So at least they have a little time. They have a little time to prepare, because I'm sure after they visit us, they're coming to visit you. So prepare. So they did this. It's kind of like Morse code. So they started to do this with their beaters, where they change the beat. So all day long this is happening, yeah? We almost don't even notice it. But maybe when the kings come in, they inform them this way. So imagine 30 women sitting here pounding this. You would hear it definitely all the way down at the capital, actually. We actually tried this out in our town. And I think the range was about 2 miles. Yeah, there was about 50 of us pounding in a circle. And we said, let's see how far it happens, how far the sound will travel so that the other village would hear us. So this is the, tap in again. Go, Auntie. All together. Did I do it again? Tap, tap, tap. Now, maybe it's not the ali'i that came into town, and maybe it's more like war that's happening. Maybe there's somebody that's going to come and just ravage through our town. So we had about maybe 1 minute to let the other guys know that it's different. Something else is coming. And this maybe is the sound of a war. Okay, stop. You hear the differences? So in everyday beating, you're just kind of beating, and you're going to be there all day. So you're kind of talking to your friends and family that's around, like, hey, how's your husband? Oh, girl, you know him and his hunting, and that's happening here. And then they notice things are happening as they're coming to their town. The beating starts to change. And so eventually, they hear it. Maybe we already told them that these are the sounds of danger. This is the sounds of people coming. So the women played a bigger role than just the fabric creators. Yeah, they were bigger than just the fabric creators in the community, but they also were kind of the sounds of alarm. Yeah, they were almost like the Morse code keepers that had to inform the next village so that that village could tell the next village, and the whole island knew that they came to Waimea. Yeah, they stopped by, prepare, they're probably going to come this way. How are we doing? We dressing? Okay, nice. So this is Kapa. So the plant starts off as wauke. It's part of the mulberry family. A little different from some of the other mulberries. I like to think ours are more fibrous in the Hawaiian mulberry, or maybe the Pacific mulberry. And this is what it looks like when it's finished. Well, actually the piece that she was showing you is what it looks like when it's finished. This piece is a lot longer. And then it's decorated. This would be a hula skirt, a pa'u hula, it's called pa'u hula. And this side, this is another hula skirt, a little bit longer. These are natural dyes that you'll see that's put on here. Okay. This was actually dyed with a root that we call olena. So you know it, it's called turmeric. And so we have different kind of olena in Hawaii. We have different kinds of colors. We have green olena, or green turmeric. We have turmeric that's orange. We have some that's yellow. I've even seen some that's a little bit purple. At least that's our Hawaiian ones. And so this is dyed with actually red tea leaf. So you know the tea leaf, the stalk, not Lipton, but tea as in Oh, we brought so much tea leaf, but it's not here. Anybody wearing kupe'e? No? Okay, well, it's a big leaf at home. We call it la'i, or tea leaf. So it also is in red. And so we boiled all the red out of that tea leaf. We put all the tea leaves in water, we boiled it, and when we took the tea leaves out, they were all green, and all the red was in the pot. And then we took the olena, or the turmeric, and we scraped all the roots, and then we juiced them, or almost kind of just chopped them out and chopped them up, boiled them, and created a kind of deeper yellow. So we mixed the red leaves and the yellow leaves, and it became orange this way. So natural dyes, and then these are all the stamps. So the stamps are carved on little bamboo, and each one of them tell a different story. So rain patterns, this one's probably easier to tell the story than that one. Is a lot happening, all kinds of stories on there. This pattern here represent here you can see this pattern here. This is the Ihelau Meki. So this is a bamboo stamp that was carved to represent the spear of the king. So it's the kind of spear that looks kind of like a Christmas tree. It's like the barbed spear. So it's the one that when you pull it out, it's worse than going in. Yeah, you didn't make it. So this represents kind of the power or the strength of the king and the royal families. And so, and ruling, and laws and things that are being ruled. This design pattern you see here represents, this is our Kumauna, it's called Kumauna. And it represents the mountains, the high peak and the high mountains. Our mountains are high elevated landscapes are sacred, and they hold a different sacredness depending on how high you go. Yeah, so if you're going up mountains, the higher you go, the more sacred. The more closer to the heavens you get, the more sacred the space. And so this Kumauna represents our high-peaked mountains. So we have on our island, we actually live on the slopes of the highest mountain, and that's Mauna Kea. And so this represents that Kumauna, or that standing tall mountains. And then you have the ali'i spears that represents the laws and represents royalty and godly things. And so, of course, that's the story of our mountain. If you know Mauna Kea, or if you've never been, come see it. It's a big mother of a mountain in the middle of our island, and it's the one that holds all of our water. Yeah, when the rain comes, when the snow comes, it collects on the top of our mountains. We have a high lake that's up there, and our families make this pilgrimage up to that lake to put some of their things into the lake. When our babies are born, their umbilical cords are taken after they fall off the baby, our umbilical cords, and they'll be deposited into the lake. They'll be buried around the lake. Some families will put them into the lake. And it's that same, it's the thought that this cord is what's plugged into our mother when we're in the womb. Yeah, this umbilical cord connects to our mother. This is how we're getting fed. We're being fed this way. And so the one that was connected to my mother, her cord was connected to her mother, and the grandmother before that, all the way to the first mother that we had, which would be the earth. Yeah, so when our babies are born, we take those umbilical cords and we plug them back into the earth. We put them back into the places that will continue to feed us spiritually, will continue to nurture us through this umbilical. So our mountains are places that families will go up high to bury the umbilical cord, so that the mountain and the sacred space will continue to feed their children and protect their children. So our mountain, Mauna Kea, has most of our piko, we call it piko, our umbilical cords are put there, and ask that the mountain keep them close to the land and keep them safe. And so this talks about that, those high mountains and its sacredness, and what they represent, and the practices of our people. Who would have thought the little skirt we wore told all of that, right? Was that a little fascinating? This side, this skirt here actually, this is different weather patterns. So all the stamps you see on here, I think there was 56 of them when we created this skirt. But there are different ways that the rain falls. So interesting fact in Hawaii is that we name all of our rains. We name all of our winds, and we name all of our fog elements, and all of the elements that's around us. There's different characteristics to the rain. I'm not sure about the rain in D.C., in Washington.
But the different ways that the rain falls.
Hi,
So
is that me talking?
Is that of our rain?
Is that playback? Okay, I don't know about how the rain falls here in D.C., if it always just comes straight down, or if it comes slanted, or if it blows with wind. But at home, our weather, like when it rains, today it might fall straight down and it's very soft and it might be a little warm. Tomorrow it may come with a big gust of wind and it's coming slanted and it's really hard and it's kind of sore. If you go outside and you're being hit, you're being pelted by the rain. And then another day it may come almost what seems like horizontal and it's just flying through the air and it has bigger raindrops. So all of those characteristics, in my town alone, there's about 75 of them, different characteristics to the rain. Some of them will blow like this and come down because the wind picks them up. So each one of them have a different name. And so our families will know them and we'll look at them and say, oh, this rain is called the Kipuʻupuʻu. That's the name of my Halau, the name of our group. Kipuʻupuʻu, named after that. See, look, they're coming. You feel them. That's the Kipuʻupuʻu. It comes with a wind to it, and it will pelt you like spears. When I was young, we used to feel it all the time on the soccer field. Yeah, we were being pelted by the rain, and it caused the skin to rise, and all the hair, everything. So there's also kind of gentle rains that come, and they may be called the Ava, or they might be called the Malanai, which is actually a type of breeze, a gentle breeze. So with all of that, we carved out stamps to depict the different rains in our town, the different rains that come into our community, and we stamped this skirt with it to honor all those rains. Some of them become family rains, and family wind. Yeah, you name your kids after them. All of my nieces and nephews are named after different rains that belong to our ohana, belong to our family. Yeah, their middle names are different rains that fall in different areas of our community. And it encourages water. Yeah, that's what it is. If you're wondering, why do Native people name their kids after the rain? Who cares about the rain? Well, honestly, if it doesn't rain, then things wouldn't stay green. And we wouldn't be eating unless you had water that was endless, that was coming from someplace, which came from the rain, actually. So it's important, and for Native practices, it's important that we become one with our environment. It's part of that cycle. We name our kids those rain names. We're always calling them, so we're constantly calling the rain to replenish and regrow our landscape. And so we're farming that landscape, so it creates food, it creates fabric for us, so that we can create these kinds of things and tell the stories. And so it's that process in our actually na'au, in our gut, that native process that we go through. Yeah, most of how we operate is from our gut, our na'au. You know, it's the one that tells you yes, that's right, or no, you shouldn't. It's the inner feelings that you have inside. Yeah, and so that's native process. Putting and thinking about all of these things, all of these elements, putting them all together, and even sometimes just printing them onto the skirts, so that we're constantly being reminded of these things, the high mountains and where our families come from. So now clothing is not just clothing anymore, is it? It's almost transcripts. It becomes sacred texts. It becomes the storybook. It becomes the history book that's in the library. We just happen to wear them. I wish we could have danced for you today so you could see them in action. Yeah, so you could see them dance too. But I think we're dancing the rest of the week, so or the rest of for the next 4 days. So you'll see them sometime. Any final questions? I think I'm getting the 10 minutes is almost up. Yes. So the question is, does a specific family make their own dyes? Do everybody make their own, or is it a general thing? Well, today I think it's a general thing. But back in old Hawaii, it was a more only in your own family. Yeah, you're collecting berries and you're collecting certain things, and you almost had, actually, it's still kind of happening today, because there's certain dyes that's so hard to make. You know, you wanna. Today we see every color possible. Yeah, you can there's color palettes and wheels. And so my mind always thinks to myself, how do I make that red? How do I make that pink just like that? What do I have to harvest? What plant do I need? And I have to go, it's almost like it's a research and a scientific project. You're having, and chemistry at the same time. So you're having to cut different plants or different roots or different dirt and trying to figure out exactly how to make the color that you want. My family makes a red dye, and I say that it's still happening today because it almost becomes like secret knowledge. So my family makes a red sort of Kapa dye that all the other Kapa people today, which there's not a lot of us, but the other Kapa people keep asking how to make that color. And I tell them, if you was in my family, then you would know how to do it. Find your own from your own family. But it involves roots, and it involves coral. So taking coral from the ocean, burning coral and grading the coral and putting it into certain roots that would, almost chemistry, but instantly start to change the foundation of that dye and the colors and just the compound of it all. So it's talent. Good question. Any other questions? Can we just get a wow again, like how when I brought the Kapa out, one more time, all together, 1, 2, 3, wow. 1, 2, 3, wow. Thank you so much for being an amazing audience.
Can we also give a big mahalo to Halau Nā Kīpuʻupuʻu?
Were you translating the whole time?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I love it. I didn't even notice he was behind me. I'm sorry if I was talking really fast. Okay.
Remember, you can follow us with the Folklife Festival on both Instagram and Facebook. We're here from 11 to 5:30 every day. So we look forward to seeing you folks, and come back because you want to see Hālau Nā Kīpuʻupuʻu do their hula. You can't miss it. Thank you so much for coming and joining today.